Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome, friends and family from around the world, to the Energetic Life Now show. I am your host, Eric Stenlake, and it is an honor and privilege to have you guys joining us. Whether this is your first time tuning in live, you're a returner, or you're watching a replay, we just want to extend a very, very warm welcome to you and your family, and blessings to you wherever you are. Today's show is being broadcast on the Spanglish World Network, which is on Zingo TV, channel 250. And the app is free. So when you download it to your iOS or Android device, please leave a like and a comment. We really appreciate that feedback. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and on all smart TVs 2016 and forward. So, Energetic Life Now, family and friends, what's good in the neighborhood? Listen, Coach Eric coming to you live, and you know how I roll, bringing the best of the best. And this is no less than my good friend and fellow neuroencoding dual elite specialist out of the Big Apple, NYC, Mr. Arron Lloyd. Arron, welcome to the show. Great to have you here, sir.
It's great to be here, man. Thank you for that intro. That intro was phenomenal. I love it.
Beautiful. Tell us what's happening in good old NYC.
NYC, man, the skyscrapers are skyscraping. The weather's getting better. People are out. There's about to be summer festivals, all that kind of stuff. And New York, obviously, theater. There's culture everywhere. There's dance, art, and all that. So it's lively. It's a buzz.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, listen, Arron, I thank you so much for your time and being on here tonight. And friends and family around the world, I've known Arron now for, gosh, what is this, 4 years?
Yeah.
4 years,
Yep.
and have got to seen, or have had the privilege of seeing Arron live on stage at events. And he has got one of the most incredible stories that I asked him to come on here and share tonight with all of us. And it's absolutely, absolutely dynamic. And he's got so much great wisdom to drop for us in his journey from where he's been and where he is now, that I'm just so stoked. So, Arron, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and what's going on before we get into your whole story, please.
Sure. So my name's Arron Lloyd, y'all. I'm an actor by trade and profession and an elite neuroencoding specialist by purpose. And what that means, I help people default to their best. Now, a little bit about my background. I'm originally from a place called Bridgeport, Connecticut, not too far from Eric. I think from my understanding, he's from Trumbull, which is cool. So we're neighbors. The interesting thing about Connecticut is that Connecticut traditionally in America has this kind of dynamic that is very wealthy. It's in one of the wealthiest counties and one of the wealthiest countries. And Bridgeport, where I'm from, was not like that. So it's an inner city. And if you don't understand what an inner city is, it's the best way I could describe it is it's economically sparse. There's a lot of trouble. There's just challenges, right? And things like that. So that's kind of the area I grew up in. Didn't grow up with wealth, single parent home, oldest of three. And I've always known that I wanted more out of my life. So the challenge for me was navigating that, because it's very easy just based on your environment to get caught up in certain things. And I had friends and people that were caught up in certain things. So it was just hard, just based on staying strong and true to my vision. And thank God I had my mother and my grandmother and something to strive for, something to want. And I think it's just like Joseph, our mentor, says, that carrot on a stick, that thing that helped me make precocious decisions, that helped me get to where I want to ultimately navigate that. So that's kind of like a brief overview of kind of where it's what my background is.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. And as you were saying that, it's one of those unique places, right? The Trumbull Bridgeport area, because there's like a defining line in between the two towns, which is the Trumbull Mall.
Yes.
And it's clearly like it's smack dab right there on the border of the two cities. And it was like weird growing up there. And it's like we went to the mall and maybe a little bit further down the street and went to Friendly's and the Galaxy Diner and and Merritt Canteen for a bacon, egg, and cheese. But that it was a very, very distinctive separation between the two towns. And like you're saying, it was so interesting because Fairfield County, one of the richest per capita counties on the East Coast, and you have all the towns around us from where we lived. You had coastal, you had inlet coastal, you had, rural. You started getting into, into the farmlands and stuff like that. But we lived in a very, very distinctive, separated place, and it never made sense to me. I mean, we're growing up in the town there. It never made sense to me why they set it up that way. But I love your story because it really resonates with the fact that you had your mom and your grandma,
Mhm.
and I really really love that part of your story because it really brings about the strength of your family and what you guys really came together to create this amazing, amazing family and to never give up.
Yes.
And even when things got hard, and by the way, I'm saying is this distinctive separation between these two cities. I'm not saying we grew up, wealthy or anything because we absolutely did not.
Mhm.
Even though we were right next door in towns. So I totally get that. And but what I understand about you and your story is that strength that you guys had together. And I would love for you to go into that piece of your background and story, if you would.
Yeah, shout out to my mom. She
Yeah.
had me when she was 17. And the kind of more mature I get in age, the more I understand what a profound one decision that was to even have me at that age. And then when I was one to lose my father to gun violence, what that to for her to carry on and kind of move on with that. She and then as I got to know her more in terms of what her story was, what her upbringing was, it's even more profound how she raised me, and things make sense in terms of like connecting the dots because she grew up in a very challenging environment herself. So I think her whole mo was my children aren't going to go through what I went through, and she would kind of try to shield us as any great mother would do. And at the time, I didn't understand it. So she was like, after school, you reading this book, I want book reports on this book, all these kind of stuff and things that I didn't understand or I hated at the time. And then that was exacerbated when I became an older brother. When my first sister was born, because now I had some responsibilities. My mom's working until 5 or 6. Obviously, school's out around 2 or 3. It was my job to make sure that my sisters and I were home safe. We were on the bus, got home, did homework and all that kind of stuff. And I chipped in how I could with my mom in that experience. She's always done. And the thing about my mom too that I really, really, even though we were um, not well off, she never made it seem like we were broke. And what I mean by that is that the holidays, she would go all out, even if it meant putting things on credit card, and that just the desire for a mother to do that for her children is profound. She has so much love despite what she's going through. And I'm getting emotional now because she deserves the best, man. She really does. She's gone through a lot. And I just, it's just cool. It's just cool to you know, have a great mother. Now, no parent's perfect, anything like that, obviously, but had sometimes and ultimately her as a woman, really profound. She needs to write a book.
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
needs
no, it's honestly because it is a phenomenal story, right?
yeah.
And as you were talking about how your mom made everything not about what you didn't have, but
Mhm.
about what you had, and
Mm,
her perspective coming in that. I think we were pretty much raised in the same mindset, if you will, Aaron. My father was a firefighter. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. I started working with my dad in the school systems as a custodian when I was 9 years old,
wow.
to bring in extra monies and food on the table. And we went through some really really tough times. Now, yes, we lived in Trumbull, which is right next door. However, we were not in a position of which we had a lot of extra. There was four of us,
Mm,
four kids, and we had a house with one bathroom in it, and We made it all work. And but like you're saying, like, yeah, when holidays came or a birthday came, like that was the time. Like, we didn't get stuff all year long. We might get a buck or two here or there when we went, yard sailing, or tag sailing, as they called it back then. Um, but like, my new clothes were my brother's hand-me-downs, right? And then
Yes.
my clothes went to my sister, and she was like, I got to look like a boy. And then her clothes, like, it went on down. And then, if we did get new clothes, here's one for you. We got something from Bradley's or Caldors.
Bradley's. Wow. Wow.
Ah,
Man.
right?
I remember that.
Right? Yes. So that was, like, I don't know, an equivalent to what, I don't know, what
Like a Marshalls or
a
like
Marshalls or Kmart or something, right?
yeah.
But yeah, and so, yeah, kudos and hats off to mom, because she's an amazing woman to be able to, navigate through being a young mother,
Yes.
and raising you to be this amazing, amazing guy,
I appreciate that.
and to do all that you are doing and have accomplished in your life. I mean, she's like Wonder Woman, and that's really awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us what else, some of your takeaways then, as you're looking back on all of this experience, and, like, what are some of the pieces that you pull forward
Mhm.
that you really put into your value system of which you operate now in?
Yeah, great question. I think one of the main things is one, having a mental toughness about you. And what I mean by that is when you want something, when you truly, truly want something, combined with a why, for me, it was like, I wanna see what life is outside of Bridgeport. I want to create a better life for my family. I want to be able to protect my sisters. I want to be a good example for my sisters. So for me, I think those days really started a early kind of value system of others. It was not so much about what I can get and like getting out for selfish reasons and things like that. It was like, I see how hard my mom's working. I want to set a good example for my sisters. How can I show up as my best self? I think
Mhm.
that life is a gift, regardless of your circumstances or anywhere that you are. And if you have that, even during the trials and tribulations, even during the challenges, if my belief is that there has to be more, there has to be more to life than this. We are
Yeah.
given this gift. We're all here. It's a miracle that we're here. So it's either I can just give up and say I squandered this gift, there's nothing I can do, or I can keep on pressing forward even on those days when it's hard. And then if you need to take a break, and man, this is hard, I need to just be in bed all day, like at times there were some times where it was like that, or like not growing up without a father, and what does it mean to be a man, and my precociousness with that, in addition to wanting to stay away from the things that might have veered me off path, was sports.
Yeah.
So during the summer, Upward Bound, I don't know if you're familiar with that
Yeah.
program.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, obviously you're in an education system, so that program was probably pivotal for me, because during the summers I would actually, mom and myself, like, okay, how am I going to stay busy during the summer so I don't be a knucklehead? So there's
Yeah.
that. And then also the football was, that was my way of learning value systems of what it meant to be a man, and also it helped me get out of frustration, just to be real. Like, just
Yeah.
like, I'm frustrated with the circumstance, I could hit people and not go to jail. Awesome. this is
Mhm.
this is great. So there was that. So mental toughness, one, having a strong why that goes beyond yourself and extends into others too. Because I found that for me, I think that for the majority of people, you will always, I don't say always, I don't speak in absolutes. The majority of time, you will do more for others than you will for yourself. And if there's any parents on this call, you obviously know that you'll go to the ends of the earth for your child. And I felt like my mom did that. So for me to squander that would seem incredibly just selfish to me. So there's that. So have a strong why. And then two, leadership capacities. I think for any great leader, you first have to lead yourself. You have to, leadership is EXMPLE, example. So how can I be a good example for my sisters? If I want them to maximize their gift of life, then how am I maximizing mine? How am I not making excuses, even when I want to make excuses? Things like that. So those would be the three takeaways, I think.
Mm. Oh, I love that, Aaron. And as you're talking there about the leadership and the why and everything else, it's just like I'm picturing your mom modeling this,
Yes.
for you, because then you in turn use that as your guide to then do that for your sisters. And so that cascade effect of what your mom started, that trickled down to you and your sisters, obviously proved to be um, the foundation of which your home was centered on,
Hmm.
and that you guys are taken into your life as adults.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us what a little bit about what you're doing now. What avenues are you involved in? Because I don't know if the viewers know or not, but and I hope you get into it. Like you were in a Super Bowl commercial not too long ago.
Yeah, Super Bowl ad campaign for Bud Light. Shout out to Bud Light. So I'm an actor in the city and
Yeah,
primarily theater trained, and recently been getting into film and TV. So I've done a lot of work with CBS, and recently I had a Bud Light commercial, which was phenomenal. So I was a Ravens fan, if you're familiar with that, American football, and it was a Bud Light campaign that ran from, I want to say, the beginning of the season leading up to the Super Bowl, which is phenomenal. Which also, playing football, I'm smaller in stature, so I couldn't. I don't want to say couldn't. It was less likely for me to be in the NFL. So me being in that spot was kind of like a boy's dream come true, which is pretty cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Oh, I love that. I love that. So you've got acting opportunities and things that come along your way. So you now, you're in New York City and you're involved with acting there. Theater, any theater that you're doing there as well?
The last theater thing I did was with a company called Nylon Fusion Company, and that was last summer.
Mhm.
So typically, what I'm auditioning for now mostly are, I can share this. I did book something that's slated to come out in 2025. I can't share what. Can't share what. It's big though, and when obviously you and our peers will know as soon as it comes out, right? I'll let everybody know. So that's exciting. So that's going to come out, and that's not theater. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome. I love it. I love it, and I get it. Listen, I know all the secrecy behind
yeah,
the whole the acting and whatnot. So I
yeah.
get you can't spill the beans,
No,
before they're cooked. That's it. Mute. Can't say nothing. No hints. No spoiler alerts.
nope.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So taking a look at where you were in the setting, if you will, of your childhood and growing up there. When did you find yourself leaving home? Then was it right after high school? What did that transition look like?
Yeah, it was right after high school, and I was excited. I remember, and I went to UConn. Shout out to UConn. So right after graduation that summer, I think school starts. Actually, no, I left. I left earlier because UConn has an education program called SSS for people that were kind of just. I think GPA wise, I was just on the cusp. So for
Mhm.
those that were just on the cusp, they had to do a summer program, get some extra credits, and then they would have their official acceptance into the university. So after high school, I think I had a month at home, and then, or like 2 weeks, and then I went straight to UConn early. And UConn was an interesting experience. Came from, it was a great school and loved my peers and all this kind of stuff. It's just going from Bridgeport, where there's a lot of Black, Asians, Latinos, and suddenly UConn, it was just like I'm the only Black person that has the experiences that I have around people. That it was new. It just expanded my mind. Eric, like this my like I had heard Beatles music, but I didn't know who the Beatles were. Like until I got to college. Like that I'm I'm high key kind of not ashamed, but it's like, whoa, you didn't know who the Beatles were? You're shunned. Turn it off now. Like, but it was like I just didn't know. I knew hip hop, R&B,
Yeah.
the way that we partied was different. So it was a adjustment for me. And
Yeah.
shout out to everybody there. Everybody was lovely humans. It was just an adjustment.
Sure.
So yeah. So it was cool.
Oh, that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. You're bringing back so many memories.
Did you go to
This is
UConn too?
No, I didn't. Just listening to you talking about, the people,
Yeah.
Connecticut was very, very diverse,
Yes.
from town to town. And, I love the diversity of being on the East Coast, and, the people that you get to meet from all, nationalities and ethnicities, all walks of life. And that's one thing that I really, really loved about growing up, over there. It was really cool. And then, of course, the birthplace of, R&B and hip hop and breakdancing. And, I'm a little bit older than you, and I don't know if that was around, the cardboard boxes on the street corner, the guys breakdancing. And as things were coming up through New York City, like that was the time, like we would hear this stuff getting played a little bit on the radio on Z100 and out of New York City, and then it would come up to Connecticut. And we would be at the Trumbull Mall, and guys would be passing out, flyers about this group and that group, and handing out, cassette tapes and stuff. See, I am dating myself now. And
I remember cassette tapes. I remember
yeah,
cassette.
yeah, and it was a good time. It was a good time growing up, and there, and very, it was, gosh, it was so much influence, that time. It was happening so fast and changing so fast, because what was here a week or two ago is different now, and somebody's adding on. And the creation of what we were experiencing as youth during that time was just mind blowing, on how quickly it was growing. And man, geez Louise, the boom boxes on the shoulders and walking around
Did you
like,
have
man.
one? Did you have a
Oh,
boombox?
heck yeah, heck yeah. Man, that was it. I think some of my fondest memories that I remember growing up is when it would be snowing, right? And they don't have much snow anymore, but when we were growing up, there was good snowstorms. And I used to love going out and getting my boom box and throwing a tape in there, and just had it up on my shoulder, just walking around and just playing music. And you just walk in the neighborhood in the snow, and nobody's on the roads. There was nobody around. And oh, good times, good times.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So you're leaving now. You go off to UConn.
Mhm.
How was that transition for your sisters? Because you were such a rock for them.
Yeah.
And then for you to be gone, and mom's working her tail off, and she's
Mhm.
got her things going, and now sisters, are they in high school at this time, or a little bit younger?
Yeah, so one of them was probably about to go to high school, and the
Mhm.
other one was probably 2 grades under her. So yes, and for one of my sisters, before I left for college, I had tried to instill as much wisdom as I could about kind of navigating that environment, because one of my sisters is a little less laid back than I am. Let's just say that. So she's rambunctious and very extroverted, and like she gonna let her opinion be known and all that. I was like, you gotta be careful how you kind of trying to teach her some things. And so to answer your question, it didn't dawn on me uh, the potential influence I had on them until my first time coming back from UConn, because it's a profound memory for me. It because it made me feel good. I remember I got home and my mom got out the car. She had a silver like Toyota, and I got out, and then my sisters had a friend at the end of the street, and I remember my youngest sister, when my mom said that, she came running out of the house, she arms stretched out, Aaron, just come like running, like it just made, because she's also laid back like I am, so she doesn't really do all that, but she did that and it made me feel, oh wow, they really missed my presence. That happened one time, right? And then after it's like, okay, he's back. They got used to it because as they moved on, and I think they navigated pretty well. They're doing their thing. One's in Texas, the other one's still home at Connecticut, and they've just grown up to be amazing, phenomenal women themselves. So
Mhm. That's awesome. That's great. That's great. And thank you for sharing that piece of it, because we often get in our story, and you're telling that, and how many people are influenced by what we do in our life, right?
yeah,
And it was my brother left, and he went off to college. I still had a couple of years left, and then I went off, and my sister had another year or so, and yeah, it is different. It's like you go back into that living home environment after being away, and it's different. It's
Yeah.
like you've changed, you've grown up, you're used to doing things the way that you did at college, and then you're coming home, and oh, these are the house rules, and this is what takes place here, and being there and being supportive of your sisters. I vividly remember how different that was coming back home, and checking in on my sisters, and how are you guys doing, what's happening, are you guys okay? And because back then it was I don't know, I don't know how much you called home. I didn't call home. And if I did, I didn't really talk to them. It was more
Right.
talking my mom and what's happening, and
Mhm.
yada yada. But I was in the upper Midwest, and so I was a bit further away
From
um,
home.
from home at that point. Um, so you're you're talking now is we're in this, sisters are doing great, and everybody's kind of in their space and in their niche, and you're working, you're busting out here in the industry in New York, and you got a great stuff going on for you. And here comes Dr. Joseph McClendon III.
Man.
And somewhere along the way, you see a video that says, or something that says, hey, we're going to be launching this program
Mhm.
called the Neuroencoding Institute. And tell us a little bit about that experience for you. How did that all start?
Yeah, that my first interaction with Joseph, I got to tell him this. So when I was 25, when I got to New York after college, I was struggling. I was sleeping on the floor, jumping over turnstiles, living that whole starving artist kind of thing, right? I'll spare the
Yeah.
details. And I told myself I can't keep on living like this. And I went to my first UPW, which is obviously Tony's event. And day
Mhm.
two, day two, Joseph comes out. He's like, I know what you all were thinking. You're expecting a tall white guy, and today you got a short 5'8" black guy. And inside, I was like, another one. there's another one of us here. Yes, I'm excited. So I was very excited about that. And then he had a profound impact on me. I wanted to get to know him. Cut to, that was when I was 25. Cut to 2020. He runs a program called, I think it was called the Magnificent Life Challenge. I think that was how I got into, I guess, the email list for the neural coding, because I did that. And when they released it, I didn't do the brain revolution, which I think some neural coders did. I did. Once I heard about the Neuron Coding Institute, I wanted in, because at that time I was already kind of coaching a little bit. I obviously have a value system and desire to help people. Even my journey into wanting to act has a pillar of that. That's been a through line throughout my whole life. I want to be of service of some way. Obviously, acting is fun. It's cool. There's glitz and glamour and all that kind of stuff as well. And I ultimately want to use any platform that I'm potentially blessed with, wherever the career goes, to be able to positively impact people. So when I saw that he was doing this and it was Joseph, I was like, I'm absolutely in. He's one of the best. Obviously, you want to learn from the best. And now I'm speaking on the stages, which pinch me, right? It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. I love that you share that story of how you met Joseph. I met him at um, an event, and he comes out on stage, and he's jumping around, and the crowd's going bananas, and everybody's jumping and screaming and yelling and clapping, and the music and the lights and the strobes, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, this is insane. And he starts talking, and I'm sitting there, and I'm start taking notes and listening to him, and I'm like, my gosh, it was my first experience with him, and I said, who? I don't know who that guy is, but that's how you do it. And I want to do that. I want to be like that,
Wow.
And that was my first like, wow. And I got into it was a network marketing group,
Hmm.
and listening to him talking and relating to network marketing and really into that space of the personal development. Now, I was teaching leadership and going into all that already, and I had been for years with Franklin Covey,
Hmm.
and but I was like, man, there is a big difference between what I'm doing there and how I'm doing it and the how he's doing it.
Wow.
And then that's when, shortly after that, the brain revolution came out, and this was 2020.
Hmm.
And it came at such a great time, right? I think we were in the pandemic
Yes.
at that point,
Hmm.
and this comes out and gets announced. Hey, this, and at the time it was brain revolution. For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, Dr. Joseph McClendon has the Neuroencoding Institute. Dr. Daniel Amen has Amen University. And Dr. Amen actually was one of my mentors before I met Joseph.
Wow.
And he mentored my wife and I in the business that we had. So when that conglomerate came out, that was so amazing. I'm like, hands down, boom, let's go and do this, because that was phenomenal. And then getting in as on the ground floor of the Neuroencoding Institute, man,
Yeah.
that has been phenomenal. So, you're coaching, I'm coaching, we're in these spaces, and we get to collaborate together. We get to coach together. We get to pick each other's brains and support each other, and going through this process of building our businesses. And it's been, listen, friends and family around the world, listen, if you're even considering, as you're listening to us, anything about the Neuroencoding Institute, we invite you to check it out at the neuroencodinginstitute.com and go see what we're talking about. And check it out and listen to what Joseph's saying on there, because it is a coaching platform of which we get coached by the very best
Yep.
in coaching and presentation, business acumen, tech, like all of that rolled into one. And it's an amazing, amazing experience. And so for you now, you've got your coaching business like I do here with
Mhm.
Energetic Life Now. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing with coaching.
Yeah, so I help actors default to the best, ace their auditions, and book with ease. And the great thing about it is that I'm not teaching theory, right? I'm in the industry. I'm doing everything that I would be teaching them to do. So that's what I do. I have an 8-week program right now called In Demand Actor, where I walk them through an 8-step process on how they can think like an actor, how they can magnetize opportunities, how they can do different things and get much further faster. And I think the curious thing, and I know from experience, those things, the thieves of our dreams, the procrastination, hesitation, fear of failure, fear of success, self-doubt. Won't get into all of them, but fear of rejection, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, all those things can be pervasive in the entertainment industry. Uh, I just the entertainment industry, or being an artist or a creative in general, you're the way actors and actors would describe is that as an actor, I'm using my instrument, my body, my voice, my imagination is my instrument, and you're putting it out there. Shakespeare says, holding a mirror up to nature. You go see a great show, or either theater or TV or film, and you might have a favorite character, or understand human dynamics differently and be like, wow, that's an interesting thing. And those are human beings. Actors that are doing that are putting their creativity, all that kind of stuff on display for people to judge, criticize, or not like, or I don't know if I like that. And it's also a very competitive field. So I want to be able to fill that gap to help them book with ease. And part of booking with ease is not only getting the role, it's booking with ease of mind. It's booking without the thieves of your dreams blocking you. I think one of the most tragic things for anybody, regardless of the field, is to have a dream unfulfilled. Obviously there's some dreams, life hands us some L, sometimes that's okay. And if I could help maximize the chances of somebody succeeding in what their dream is, then I would love to do that. Because I think for you as well, like anywhere in New York, I know I'm on the subway and you see people just like zombies sometimes, just kind of like almost checked out of life, not even present. And if I could ask that little kid, what did you want to be? I have a great friend. He asked me this. He said, Arron, what's the number one question that people are asked when they're kids? And I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? He's like, what if people asked, how do you want to live? your life would be completely different. Because then you're not, because what if you study to be a doctor because your parents wanted to be a doctor, then you're a doctor and you realize I don't like this at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you want to live? What brings you alive? What makes you passionate? And to be a creative, to be an actor, to be a director, or anything in a creative field, not only is it something that I had a supportive mother. It's not the case for everybody. They might be like, "Oh, pick something else. What do you talk? Plan B. How are you going to make money in that?" And it's true. It's true. A lot of actors don't make a lot of money. I think only the top 2% of actors have health insurance. So it's important to have other avenues to not only succeed in your art, also succeed in your life. And success is different for a lot of different people. Ultimately, I want to help people be more fulfilled. I love actors. I love artists. Um, I absolutely have such a profound love for them, being one myself. And I understand from experience with the mindset of how I've grown up, with the neuron coding, with all these different tools. I really feel like I can serve and help a lot of them. So that's kind of where I'm, my pocket, my thing right now.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And listen, friends and family around the world, you guys listen to Arron. Are you picking up on his passion? Are you picking up on his purpose? Are you picking up on his alignment with his assignment? This is what we do as coaches. We get into that space, right? And that's so great because you're dealing with this part, and I'm going to deal with the other part, which is in the teens, young adults, and parents and families of those parents that were dictating to their kids what they should be when they grow up. So we've got to cross.
All
We've got to
powers
cross.
combined.
Yes. We've got the cross going on that collaboration right there. That's great. And so, as you're working with your clients, and I know you said you're getting them into that space, that readiness
Mhm.
to be successful in their auditions, to master their auditions, if you will.
Mhm.
And what would be some of the things that you have noticed about people in general, like, and even in your own self, like
Yeah.
you talked about the things called the thieves of our dreams that we throw up there that are the roadblocks to our success. What are some of the things that people might experience in your field?
I would say that's a great question. The one thing I think that I've noticed in a lot of actors is something that is called the achiever's fatal flaw. What I mean by that is I was literally just working with an actress before we got on this call, and she was kind of beating herself up because she wasn't giving the scene what she desired it to be. And one of the two questions that I always ask myself after anything is, what did I do great about that? And then the second thing is, what can I improve on? So it's great that
Yeah.
you have a great standard. It's great that you want to meet the standard of artistic brilliance. And what I said to her is, that's called having a God standard. And none of us are God, right? We're all going to fall short of God. It's okay to have a standard. And the best way to get to that standard is success building on success. So no more beating yourself up. No more calling yourself stupid. No more saying, oh my God, I went up on a line. We're human. Give yourself some grace. You can have grace with standards. And then there's processes that I walk her through to help her eliminate those. So that's one. So the doubt, I think for a lot of people, a lot of actors, as they start to succeed, what I've noticed is maybe imposter syndrome, right? It's like, do I deserve this? Or like, my friends aren't succeeding. I feel a little bit guilty about that. Or while people are doing this, and then if you're self-sabotaging, whether it be you're not living right or not living right according to that person's values, is right,
Mhm.
then you can get into things like that. And in an industry, particularly where people can say, oh, you're this, or you're this type, or this is the roles that I want you to do. You have a lot of different opinions. So I think if you're not strongly centered and aligned within yourself and strong in your values, then it's going to be easy to be swayed into I love, I had an opportunity to talk to Malcolm Jamal Warner. He said that he just lives in dignity. He lives with his integrity. And I think it would be brilliant if more actors could live that way. Yeah. So yeah, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, procrastination, maybe self-sabotage because they think, why bother? I'm going to just do this audition. They're not going to cast me anyway. So that kind of mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I think you brought up some really good things there about the presence that you're coaching them on bringing, right?
Mhm.
To stay within themselves and be true to themselves, like you just said with that Malcolm and Jamal Warner just shared with you. recently on that Zoom, and that makes a huge difference when you can stay within yourself where it is true, and you are in that space of understanding what you're thinking and feeling, and that you understand your capacity, you understand how to show up and be present for yourself, how to get the results that you want to get, what disciplines do you need to practice in order to reach and achieve those things that are your dreams and your passions and goals. That's a huge piece. And you're talking about the industry, the acting industry, but I see this same thing showing up with teens, young adults, and families.
Wow.
And it's a lot of that same of how are we showing up in a family as our family unit, and then to go back and circle back to your mom. I mean, my gosh, how did she show up every day, day in and day out? A young mother doing whatever it took, no matter what, because she understood what needed to happen. And she got into that, showing up for herself to show up for you and then your sisters, and to bring the very best of her so that you guys could get to a better place in your life, that you can move on from where it was you were in to have a better life. And I think that's what every parent's, dream and desire is. My kids are young adults right now. They're 25, 22, and 19. And
Wow.
they're all doing stuff, and they're like, well, I don't know what I want to do. And I say, I don't care what you do.
Just
They're
do
like,
something.
what? I said, you can live in a van down by the river if you want to, but let me just get to this. Are you happy living in a van down by the river?
Yeah.
And if your answer to that is yes, and you understand that your mission, your passion, your vision is to do something with that opportunity. Now, I know I'm being goofy here because it's Saturday Night Live, skit. But if you're living in alignment with your assignment, and I'm pointing to here, my alignment here in what I'm thinking comes into that heart space. And when we connect the neurons from the brain and the heart together, that's when I stay in alignment with my assignment. And my passion, my purpose, my mission comes from my heart and what I want to do, in where I want to serve and how I want to serve. The rest of it comes into where can I go and do that? Cool. This is what I'm thinking. Boom. And I go and I do. And so I think for us, and I'm listening to you, and I'm just so fired up, Arron, because you're absolutely amazing at what you do. And I just give you huge props and to what you're doing in that space of working with actors and actresses and helping them to align to get into that forward motion, that they can be successful in the industry. Because you're right, it's tough. It's not easy to break into the industry. And so to have the ability to have tools that you're giving them to be the very best that they can be, so they're walking in and just rocking on those auditions and doing the very best they can. I just applaud you.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
So tell us a little bit about like what's in your near future for Arron. What is on your horizon here?
And what's on my horizon? So right now, I want to the mission this year, the assignment. I like this, the alignment with the assignment. The assignment is to positively impact 30,000 people, 30,000 actors. So I have that 8-week program. I know it's an ambitious moonshot kind of goal, and it was just, I want to make that happen if I can, through the group coaching, through speaking. I've been sending out a lot of speaking proposals as well. So a lot of speaking, a lot of coaching in my future, and then acting. My ideal, so there's a couple phases of what I want. And one is breaking generational trauma and curses, one through my own life, through all that kind of stuff, through my own healing as I heal it's like physician heal thyself, all that kind of stuff. So doing that, being the example that it can happen. And then for in terms of like the passion, more kind of more alignment with what my passion is. It's more I want to act. I want to have an acting career. And I used to for me it was never I want to be famous. I don't. What I want in my acting career is more to be uh, respected and appreciated by my peers. A SAG-AFTRA award would be amazing. Obviously, the pinnacle was the Oscar, right? But I'm not aiming for an Oscar. I mean, don't if they gave it to me, I won't give it back, right? but that's not the main goal. I want to just do what I love to do, and I want to do it at a high level, the highest level that is meant for me to do, and I want to inspire people along the way. And I think that the foundations of what I'm building with the coaching, the speaking, and the acting, they kind of are good parallels. They can build on each other. So I'm excited about that, and just setting a great example for breaking generational trauma and curses to the best of my ability. So that's kind of the vision for me.
I love it. I love it. And that alignment with your assignment, I do have to give props out to our dear friend Cindy Gould, because that is her slogan as she taught me, and I'm like, I love it. So I've incorporated it into what I do as well.
I'm still in it.
Heck yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it. The alignment with the assignment. So friends and family, you just heard Arron talking about a program that he has coming up here. And Arron, would you share with our listeners around the world how they can get in contact with you and a little bit more about this 8-week program that you have? Because this is I'm going to go out there. If you're like, yeah, 30,000 people, boom, we got it. There's over 3 million people on this show and watching this. So we're talking global impact to your friends and family.
Wow.
And ways that you can reach out and connect with Arron. So Arron, give us a little bit of the breakdown real quick here on the 8-week program, go into detail, and then where it is that they can get in contact with you.
Beautiful. So the Actors in Demand program, it's an 8-week program in which I'm going to guide you week by week through the course content. The pillars of the content is going to be based on the 60-20-20 rule. So that's 60% psychology, anything that you want, 60% psychology, 20% energy, 20% magnetism. And what that means is, how do you have the psychology, the energy, and the magnetism aligned as it relates to your career? I'm going to go through that in a very specific, systematic way. The second piece is magnetic resonance. How do you resonate magnetically differently? Everything is electromagnetic. So how do you increase that it factor for you? So how is it that one actor can go in? It's one script, thousands of actors can come in. What makes that one actor pop? There's some things that sometimes that makes that actor pop, makes them say, maybe I should consider this person for a role. I'm going to help you tap into that. And then we're going to neuro encode that within you. So that's one call. There's going to be 2 calls, 2 group coaching calls every week. The first call is going to go over all the course content. You're going to have the support to be able to comprehend the course content, right? And how it applies specifically to your situation and how you can use that so you can get further faster. The second call is going to be what I call the Thieves of Your Dreams call, which is going to go over those toxic 10, which is the procrastination, hesitation, fear of failure, fear of success, self-doubt, self-loathing, imposter syndrome, fear of rejection, overwhelm, and stress, those things, because obviously life be lifey sometimes, and you might go through a roadblock that makes you want to procrastinate. You start to get success, but you have a fear of success. You're going to have to support on that second call. So as you are starting to get the success based on the principles in the course content, that you will stay true to your mission and your vision, your alignment with your assignment. And then where you can find that is Arron Empowers. So that's spelled ARRON EMPOWERS.com. And you can also find me on Arron Lloyd at Instagram. It'd be my pleasure to serve you. If you're thinking about breaking into the acting industry, if you have questions about acting, please send me a DM. I'm happy to help in the way I can, if I have the ability and capability to.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Arron. So listen, you could be a single actor here. We're talking community acting groups. We're talking acting companies. We're talking dance companies. We're talking global. Wherever you are on this spinning rock in the universe, this is the man to go to for all of this within your acting niche, if you will. Schools, if you're in a theater production at your school, this Arron's a great guy to bring to the table for your actors for your school and in your school district. So please do that and reach out to Arron. He is a great guy, and I highly endorse him to be working with all of you. Friends and family, you know me. You can find me on all social medias at energeticlifenow.com. and I am always here to support you in any way that I can. Arron, thank you so much for being here. It was an absolute honor and privilege to have you here. I love you, my brother,
Love you.
and we're looking for great things and can't wait to see your new things coming out in 2025.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys, for tuning in. This show can be also heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check it out at spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you soon.
Peace.